Hello, everybody. I'm April. So a couple of weeks ago on Connect Wednesday, Mike had a session talking about verticals and what different types of verticals you can employ to strengthen your business. One of the verticals that he asked, did I leave anything out, for me was politics and political people, or people who are tied to politics. And one of those people is Chris Pike. He is the economic director. He's the director of economic development in South Fulton. I work the whole South Fulton region. However, what has been really, really helpful to me is that Chris is well versed in all that's going on in South Fulton and not just specifically the city of South Fulton. In addition to that, it's a connectivity that spans beyond the relationship that he and I have, and he's able to point me in directions when I have questions about my business or ordinances, zoning. I do a lot of land deals as well. He's been very helpful for that. So it is definitely important to add that to our repertoire so that we understand what is going on in our region, whether we cover that region or not. And he is a proud Alabama State University alum. And if you are not friends with him on Facebook, you have not seen him move in his college days. He won't do that today unless you challenge him. However, he is really, really, really well versed and has a long-standing history in Georgia overall with economic development and politics in general. And I am happy to call him a friend here with his team and Chris Pike, economic developer.
They gave me a fancy microphone. Am I good? Good, excellent. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good, that was a better good morning than you gave Mike. I'm gonna move this side of the way because I'm a mover. I don't stand behind podiums. I want to thank April, the contract slayer, for making the connection with Mike. Mike, thank you. He didn't tell y'all that he drove in his helicopter, flew in his helicopter to South Fulton when he visited me to come up here, but he didn't send the one for me to come up here. It took us a long time to get here from the south side because everybody decided they didn't want to go to work today, so they wanted to have Rex. Just so you know, I live in College Park, and I was trying to get to our office because we were all supposed to carpool up here today. There's actually a wreck between my house and the office, so we couldn't get together. So we all drove up separately, and then when I took GPS to get here, it took me 285 south. So I went south to Moreland Avenue, from Moreland Avenue to 20, from 20 to 85, the 85 to 400, just to get here on time. If I'd went straight up 85, it would have taken me like an hour and a half. So, but we made it on time. We're happy to be here. I was just sitting here telling my team, I said, can you believe that we are in Roswell presenting about the city of South Fulton? And that was because Mike invited us to come up. So we're really excited about that. Today, you're going to hear a lot about the South Side, specifically the city of South Fulton. But the things we're going to talk about really apply to everything on the South Side. And when I tell people, or when I talk to folks that ask me about investing, I tell everybody who will listen that the future of Atlanta is on the South Side, South Metro, South Fulton County, Clayton County, Henry County. Because the reality is nobody wants to live on the North Side anymore because traffic is horrible, okay? And today's a great example of that. And we have the most undeveloped land in South Fulton County than anywhere else in Metro Atlanta. And so the reality is if you're thinking about folks who are investing, folks who want to look at where's the future of development in Metro Atlanta, it's the South Side. And plus, we're home to the world's busiest airport. Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah, all right. So we're going to talk a little bit about our city. I am the first economic development director for the city of South Fulton. Uh-oh, let's see, I'm going. There you go. All right. Well, before I talk about the city, I want to talk about my team. Two of the folks on the team you're going to hear from today, they're going to talk about what they do. We are a very large organization, as you can see. And I'm not talking about large in people, I'm talking about large in responsibility. We actually manage 4 boards. We manage the South Fulton Downtown Development Authority, so the entity that issues bond financing, tax allocation district revenue bonds, tax abatements. We manage that authority through our office. We also manage tourism in our city, so the Convention and Visitors Bureau which is managed through our office. Can anybody tell me the #2 industry in the state of Georgia? This is the economic development nerd part. #2 industry in the state of Georgia. Tourism. Who knows the #1 industry? What? Agriculture, yes. No, y'all can't answer. Agriculture. If y'all don't know, I would be concerned. Agriculture is the #1 industry. So tourism is very important for us. We also have a small business resource center where we help entrepreneurs. Right now, we're not staffed in that division, but we're working on that. And then we have 2 Main Street programs that Teresa and Caitlin represent that are here today, which is Old National Highway, which we're going to talk a lot about, and then our Red Oak Historic District, which Caitlin is going to talk about. Just a little snapshot of our city. We were chartered in May of 2017. It's a relatively new city. I've been with the city for most of its existence. I've on about 3.5 years now. Once we were chartered, we automatically became the 8th largest city in the state of Georgia. We are the 3rd largest city in Metro Atlanta, just behind the city of Atlanta, and the city of Sandy Springs has gotten us beat by about 4,000 people. So we're massive in population, and we're a fast-growing city. In 2000, we were just 44,000 people. Think about that. In 2000, there were just 44,000 people who called what is the city of South Fulton, the unincorporated part, that's now the incorporated part. It's 44,000, and we're projected in 2025 to be up around 109,000 people. So a lot of growth, a lot of fast growth. I tell people that we issue about 1,100 single-family building permits every calendar year. 1,100 every calendar year. So fast growth, but we also are big in land mass. We are the 2nd largest city as far as land mass in Metro Atlanta, just behind the city of Atlanta. Another beautiful thing is that we have a very educated, very affluent population in the city of South Fulton, which you don't necessarily equate to a community like ours, but we have 70% home ownership in the city of South Fulton, which beats the national average and the state average. An important thing to know about that is the city of South Fulton is 92% African American. That is unheard of in communities that have a majority African American population. So one of my other places that I worked before I came to South Fulton was the city of Albany, which is 75% African American. Their home ownership rate is around 36%. So you can see the difference in the type of demographics. And so there's difference in demographics among people, even of the same race or color. So it's something that's important to understand. And I preach this, it's my job to educate folks, and that's what we're here to do today, is sometimes when we think about demographics, we put everybody in the same bucket. And you can't do that. There's diversity even in the same demographics of people, okay? So that's important to understand. About 30% of our population make over $100,000, which again, for the demographics in our community is very high. And then 65% of our people have white collar jobs. Most of our people work in the city of Atlanta. Our department, Destination South Fulton, is the economic development arm for the city. So if you see Destination South Fulton, that's us. If you're familiar with Invest Atlanta or what's the Roswell Group? Roswell Inc. Those are all the economic development arms for communities. Ours is Destination South Fulton, again, was created when I came on board. And when I got here, this is the tools we had to work with. So we built an economic development department from scratch. The first presentation I made to our elected officials is that we cannot engage in economic development until we fill up our economic development toolbox, because you need those things to be able to participate in economic development. When I walked in the door, they was like, oh, we want a Whole Foods. And I was like, okay, well, this is going to take us some time to do that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff we got to do first. So this is what our toolbox looked like today. So we have all of these incentives and all of these things that we've created over the last 3 years to make us prepared to participate in the economic development process. Some of them I'm going to hit on is the Freeport Tax Exemption. Well, that's important for us. We offer 100% Freeport Tax Exemption on all inventory classes for manufacturers. Does anybody know why that's important for us? industry. City of South Fulton is home to the largest industrial corridor in eastern United States. Fulton Industrial Boulevard, that little 6 square miles of Fulton Industrial, has 35,000 employees that come in every day. So we are the largest corridor for industrial, logistics, manufacturing, anywhere else in the eastern United States. So Freeport Tax Exemption is important for those industries. We created, obviously, Destination South Fulton, our South Fulton and our downtown development authorities, and some other plans that we use when we converted this back over from a Google Doc. It switched my stuff, but that's fine. We'll work on that. The main thing that we did when I first came here is we created an economic development strategic plan. The reality is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the most important thing you can have is a plan. You need to figure out where you're going. And I tell people all the time that work for the city of South Fulton, I don't want folks to sit in the city 30 years from now and be like, what the hell were those people thinking 30 years ago when they created this city? So we want to have a plan that is a community-driven document. So when you come to me, or you have an investor that comes to me, or a developer comes to me, or when April comes to me, I know what to tell her because the plan has been written and the citizens have been involved in that. And I will tell you, we tell developers and real estate people no all the time, because if you're proposing something for our community that doesn't fit in this plan, we're not going to support it. Now, and I will tell you, because we're here for educational purposes, when you go and talk to our elected officials, because that's usually what happens when I tell them no, they go talk to our elected official, and those elected officials are going to be like, well, what did Chris say? And the reality is, you know, we're all on one page when it comes to what we want our community to be. And that's, you don't find that very often in communities. So when you come, you need to be prepared to understand what it is that we want to see in our community, because that's what we're going to support, and that's what's going to get the incentives, that's what's going to get the rezoning, that's going to get all the things that you want to see happen. That's why we have a plan, and it's accessible to the public. You can go to our website, you can pull it down, so you already know if you have a client and they want to do something that doesn't fit in with this plan, you should be like, hey, you can go down there and talk to them, but I would suggest that you think about your plan before you go and try to move forward with something. I won't give you the stories of some projects that some developers got really, really mad at me, but you know, the reality is we're there to protect the interest of the community, and that's what we're going to do. That economic development plan created 9 commercial nodes throughout the city. And the reason why we wanted to do that was for 2 reasons. As I've told you in the beginning, we have the most undeveloped land in any city in Metro Atlanta. That's a positive. We don't want to put up something everywhere there's a piece of green grass. We want to have specific areas in our city for development so the rest of it can stay rural. And so we identified these areas throughout our city. The other thing is our city is almost 100 square miles, so you're not going to have just one of anything because that's not, you know, we have too many people for that. So we identified these areas where we want to have development to happen in our city. And that created these 9 development nodes dispersed throughout our community. And these development nodes, the ones on the east side of our city are redevelopment. So Old National, Red Oak, those are more of our historic areas that need reinvestment. So they are our redevelopment nodes. Everything on the west side of our city is new construction. So there's nothing currently there now, and those will be our new development. Is there a pointer on this thing? There is a, there we go. So you're probably not going to see it on that second screen back there, but this little area right here in the middle is going to be our town center. So remember, I told you we're a brand new city, so we don't have a downtown. So we're going to build a downtown from scratch. It's 1,000 acres right there that we are going to build a downtown in the city of South Fulton. We're going to kick off 200 acres. The city owns 200 acres of that 1,000 acres. And we have put together a site plan. We're going to issue an RFP in 2022 to get a developer, a master developer, to partner with us to develop that 200 acres. You know, the beautiful thing about that 200 acres, Wolf Creek Amphitheater is in the middle of that. We're going to build a city around our concert venue in the middle of our downtown, which is going to be where everybody's going to want to live, right? Because that's going to be the happening spot. The other thing is adjacent to that is our Wolf Creek Golf Course. And I'm excited because about 2 months ago, our Wolf Creek Golf Course got purchased by the CEO of Edible Arrangements. And so he has invested in our community because he sees the future of where we're going. They're coming in and building a resort at the golf course. So they're doing boutique hotels, other type of specialty shops and entertainment that complements the golf course so that they can bring, obviously, their thought process and is probably right, is that you got to create a whole bunch of other stuff other than golf in order for a golf course to work. And so they've come in with the right idea and the right plan to really move Wolf Creek Golf Course forward. And that is going to be, and that golf course is sitting right here. So that is adjacent to the downtown. So all of that stuff is going to come together at the same time. And then there's another 600 acres right here that has a 32-acre lake in the middle of it, which we're hoping to be able to build a convention center and hotels and things of that nature just off adjacent to our downtown. So really exciting opportunity in the city of South Fulton as we move forward with our plans. So how do we make all this stuff come to fruition? You say, oh, Chris, you got big ideas. You want to do all these massive things. Well, that stuff takes money. And you're right. And we're a brand new city, so we don't have any money. So we got to figure out how to get money, right? So we created tax allocation districts. So we put on the ballot, our citizens voted 72% to approve to allow us to do redevelopment powers. That redevelopment powers allows us to create tax allocation districts. I'm going to give out prizes. I'm going to give $100 that Mike's going to give y'all. If anybody could tell me the most successful tax allocation district in the state of Georgia. Anybody else? But Mike, you can just give me the $100. The most successful tax allocation district, not only in the state of Georgia, but one of the most successful in the country is Atlantic Station. Atlantic Station used to be an old steel manufacturing plant, had a lot of contamination. If you think about, who ever been to Atlantic Station? And you know you park under there, and all that parking is underground. You think, oh, well, that was a great place to put parking. You know why all that parking is so deep underground? That's how much dirt they had to remove from the contamination, from all of the, because it was a brownfield. And so they created a tax allocation district over that brownfield to encourage this development. And that's why you have Atlantic Station. That's a tax allocation district. I'll come back at another time and tell you how TADs work, because that's another seminar. All right, we're going to give you a chance to win another $100. What is the second most successful tax allocation district in the state of Georgia? No, we don't have any yet. We just started these this year, so we haven't done anything yet. East Point. Camp Creek Marketplace is the second most successful tax allocation district in the state of Georgia. So that means something. Atlantic Station makes sense because it's in downtown Atlanta. East Point, not so much. But why is that? Because of demand. That's where the growth is. Again, East Point's on the south side, right? All right. So these are our two tax allocation districts. We have the east side TAD. We have the west side TAD. Again, the east side TAD, remember I told you that's our redevelopment side of town. West side TAD is our new development brownfield side of town. So Mike was so kind to say that I was a smart person. I'm not all that smart, but we did be very thoughtful about where we put our tax allocation districts. So 8 of our 9 redevelopment nodes that were in our economic development plan are in one of the 2 tax allocation districts. So all of the development that we want to happen is happening, and we're going to incentivize it with the money that we generate from our tax allocation districts. So all of those nodes get built because of our incentives that we're able to give from our tax allocation district. And just the kindergarten version of TADs, when you put property in a TAD, the increment, so the increase in taxes when you pay your property tax, for the lack of a better term, comes to me and not to the taxing entities. I then turn around and take that money and incentivize developers to build projects with that increment in taxes. So the base rate taxes goes to the city, the county, and the school system, any increment or increase in property taxes goes to this special taxing fund that we then turn around and give and to developers to do infrastructure, sidewalks, roads, those type things. So it takes a lot of the cost from their bottom line, so they're able to put that into more quality projects instead of having to worry about paying for all the pre-development infrastructure. So basically, we pay for everything under the ground, and the developer just pays for everything above the ground. And we use the increment from the taxes to do that. Interestingly enough, the South Fulton Parkway in Cedar Grove is the only development that only node that we don't have in a tax allocation district. That's probably the project, the first project that's going to get done. I just met with, anybody heard of Harrison Merrill? Big time developer. Anybody ever heard of Foxhall? Foxhall, he owns Foxhall. He actually bought this intersection there in the city of South Fulton and getting ready to do a development deal. So we're really excited about that because we know we're going to get a quality development. They recognize the importance of that corridor, that South Fulton Parkway corridor. That's going to be really the future of the South Side, in our opinion. And so that's going to be a great, great project. Just want to talk a little bit about the numbers. So what we're anticipating, tax allocation district usually lasts about 25 to 30 years. So we're projecting over the life of our tax allocation district on the east side, the east side, which is the Red Oak, Old National Commons, Old National Park, and Old National Jonesboro Road, about $1.2 billion in new development over that life, just from the TAD. Now, there's stuff that's going to happen organically, because once you start doing stuff, then everybody's like, oh, well, we want to do something too. But this is just stuff that's going to be created from the tax allocation district. So $1.2 billion. So we're bringing on new single-family housing, new townhomes, new multifamily housing, office space. The reality is that the Old National corridor, this is all the Old National right here, okay, is when you're in the middle, so when you're about here, you're about 3 miles from the South Terminal at Hartsville-Jackson Airport, which is right here. That's the airport right there. So you can see the potential for folks who want to do office space, who want to do something that they have to get to the airport quick. The redevelopment of Old National is a great opportunity for someone because you're so close to the airport, and then the city's pumping in all of this energy and amenities into the area to the point where we actually hire a full-time person whose only job it is to bring new investment to Old National. Okay, that's Teresa's job every day, is to bring attention, excitement, investment to Old National, and the city pays her full-time to do that. So that's how committed we are to the area. We also have this Red Oak area. This is Roosevelt Highway. So this will take you straight to downtown Atlanta. This will take you to Palmetto and all the way down to Coweta County. There's a Main Street manager whose job it is full-time to focus on energy and investment and attention to that area as well. And all of that is around the airport. So we understand and recognize that the lifeblood of that area is going to be Hartsville-Jackson Atlanta Airport. The world's busiest and most traveled and most efficient. That's also the most efficient airport in the world. Now, West Side TAD is going to be more of local type things that the community say they want to see. But this is the TAD that's going to have the most growth because it's the one that has nothing on it now. So remember, I told you the tax increment is based on what the current base rate is, where there's no buildings on any of this property. So, and most of it's zone agriculture. So their tax rate is very, very low. So everything that's going to go, that increase taxes and that is going to go into the fund for that tax allocation district. And that's where our town center, Sandtown, Riverfront district, this is the first deal that I did when I came to the city of South Fulton. So we do these economic development bus tours where we bring in real estate folks, investors, and developers, and we do a presentation like this. Matter of fact, this is the exact same presentation we hosted the Atlanta Home Builders Association, the Metro Atlanta Home Builders Association 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. We did the same exact presentation, but we do these bus tours once a quarter. We bring a group in, about 30 folks, we bring them in, feed them lunch, do this presentation. We throw them on a bus, we take them around to the city, show them different things of interest. This 200 acres here, there was a real estate agent, commercial real estate agent on the bus, talked about it. We went by, we drove, saw it. He calls me, he says, hey, he's like, I got a guy that I want to show this property to. Now, I had already researched the property, so I already knew, nobody knew this property existed. This property is owned by General Shell. Anybody ever heard of General Shell? They make bricks. So like the bricks on that wall out there, that's what they make. So they were taking the clay off the dirt so that they can make the bricks at General Shell. They're headquartered in Kentucky. I called up to Kentucky. I said, hey, I said, you got some land down in South Fulton that belongs to y'all. Real estate guy was like, that sounds right, but I don't know. Let me get back with you. So he hung up the phone, called me a couple days later. He's like, yeah, he's like, we do have some property down there. He's like, I don't think we're doing anything with it. And I was like, would y'all be willing to sell it? And he was like, yeah, I think we would be willing to sell it. I said, well, how much do you want for it? He's like, I don't know, maybe $1 million. I was like, I'll call you right back. So then I started calling folks. I was like, listen, there's 200 acres on the banks of the Chattahoochee River that somebody's selling for $1 million. And he was like, what? So he got on and he started calling everybody, but he was on that bus tour. And he called me. He called me about, I don't know, a month or two later and said, I got a guy that wants to buy it. So sit down, talk to the people who wanted to buy it. Oh, I think I'm outside my zone. Talked to the people who wanted to buy it. And they came and they said, well, what's the vision for the city? What would the city want to see here? And we explained to them what we wanted to see, the type of development. You don't have any access to the Chattahoochee Rivers on the south side of town. You only have access, public access to the river on the north side. You have no access anywhere. We do have a DNR boat ramp up the street there, but that's the only thing that we have. And so we wanted to provide access to the public to the river on the south side. He said, fine. The property owner, the guy who ended up buying the property, he texted me Christmas Eve and he said, hey, I just wanted to give you an early Christmas gift. He said, we closed on that property today. I was like, excellent. They hired TSW to do the master to plan this. This is going to be a high-density mixed-use development, very similar to Avalon, that they're going to build there on the river. So again, because the vision was in our strategic plan, we're able to talk to people about what we want to see in the different parts of our community. I told this guy, I was like, you all owe me a house in this development. You bought this property. They ended up paying $2 million for this. $2 million for 200 pristine acres. No environmental issues, no nothing on the banks of the Chattahoochee River. I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm not allowed to take gifts and gratuities, but I gladly quit my job to take this gift. So but this is an example of the reason why we do these types of things, so people understand what it is we want to see. And our tax allocation districts are managed by our Downtown Development Authority. So we, as economic development people who serve as executive director of the DDA, manage the TAD. Now I'm going to turn it over real quickly to Teresa Parhams, who is our Old National Main Street manager, to talk about the things that we're doing on Old National. One of the things that I always tell people is that, you know, the Main Street program, a lot of times communities have these Main Street programs and they think that they're event organizers, and they're not. What we're doing is we're creating positive experiences for people who come to an area, so that will increase demand and increase interest for our area. So I'm going to turn it over to Teresa, let her do her part of the presentation, and then we'll answer some questions. I hope y'all have questions that we can answer at the end. All right?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share brief updates of what's going on in Old National District. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. Now we're moving. I'm loving the technology advances in this office. I'm keeping note for my office. We're going to construct soon. So just to give you an overview of Old National Highway and actually what happens along the corridor, most of Old National was constructed in the 70s. And by the 80s, it was a healthy commercial corridor for middle-class families. It also welcomed, as you see on the timeline, 1981, World Changers Now International Mega Church has a huge campus along the highway. During the peak times, economic jolts, Old National went through a business erosion due to, those malls popping up here and there, as well as Camp Creek, Chris spoke of, was constructed in 2003. So it was a hard hit for the corridor with Target vacating, as well as seeing residential decline with most people moving to more suburban areas. Over the years, we had stakeholders such as Old National Merchants Association and Old National Residents United and Aerotropolis worked really, really hard to restore the corridor to where it is business-wise today. MARTA opened up its first bus station, which is now one of the busiest bus stations in Atlanta, as well as Kroger, actually with their commitment and dedication to Old National, renovated an old Winn-Dixie Plaza and moved their business there and named that plaza Main Street South Fulton, which actually embarked on a new day for Old National Highway. Later, we saw more big box retailers such as Walmart join the corridor, which is now one of the busiest Walmarts in South Atlanta. Old National Marketplace brings more big box retailers and local businesses such as Burlington and Marshall's. Caitlin and I will already do our business lunches there. We will also, South Fulton's commitment and dedication to the revitalization of Old National, we will open up my office, the Main Street office, in Old National Marketplace, as well as Collab South, which will be a co-working space for entrepreneurs. We want to be the entrepreneur incubator for South Fulton. It will also have office space for rent, as well as we will give them an 8-week class on how to start a business and sustain their business in South Fulton. It will also have the Convention and Visitors Bureau, as Chris spoke of, and which will bring tourists to Old National through our Welcome Center. And later, we were able to welcome Fulton County Schools with the opening of McNair Middle School along the highway. So y'all pray for me because this is a big corridor, as you can see. It is 5 miles long, and we share this corridor with the city of College Park. We begin, and our pointer is workers, the start thing. Okay, here we go. The Old National District will start here at Godby Road, and it will go down to the end of Jonesboro Road. The economic development nodes that we are focused on is Old National Commons, which will contain Biscayne and Camelot, which are both residential areas, as well as Old National Park, which is 60 acres of vacant land that could be used for a high-density mixed-use development, as well as Old National and Jonesboro Road, which is a little bit smaller, but it will potentially have the advantage of having a local convenience development along that area. So I am one of the newest members to Destination South Fulton, but we are in the rebranding stages of Old National Highway. So we just launched a new logo and identity to Old National with Old National District. We wanted to be colorful and vibrant and be most welcoming to any tourists, residents, businesses along Old National District. So we're coming up with Old National District campaign, which you will see much like Midtown, pole banners, window clings, just to bring connectivity and energy to the corridor. Old National District swag, so you'll see souvenirs and things that will be promotional for us. And art is a game changer for any community. So we are definitely going to incorporate a public art program, which will bring connectivity along the corridor as we build murals and art projects. Old National Highway was selected by the Atlanta Regional Commission to undergo a livable centers initiative, which is a grant program to basically get people out of their cars and stop being ran over on Old National. It is a madhouse currently on the corridor. Getting people out is very ideal for it to be a walkable, vibrant community, and it encourages healthy lifestyles and get millennials there. Because as we said, we are located in the intersection of I-85 and I-285, and are minutes away from Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. So we just want to improve the lifestyles of our residents and our merchants and connect people to jobs and services via bike trails, bike paths, as well as walking. So one of our goals right now, as far as the Main Street program, is we want to create a page that will be all you can dine, eat, play, live, Old National. So we will create an OND website, as well as you will see a lot of activities upcoming on Old National. We're getting ready to launch a jazz and art festival. Look for that very soon. We're excited about that as far as our events. This holiday season, we will kick off on Small Business Saturday, a shop local promotion, where if you just spend a minimum of $25 along the corridor, you get entered into a drawing to win $500. So you get paid to shop, what I really love. And as well as that, we will give another $500 to the winning business. Collab South, Chris has already spoke about. It will be our co-working space in my office and pretty much the entrepreneur hub for Old National. And then Old National is a community-led corridor, so we want to make sure that our community is well involved in the revitalization programming and efforts. So we're gonna do community and volunteer training to make sure that they know where to fit in as we progress through our revitalization projects. And a district maintenance program, we want to make sure that we are the most appealing, enjoyable, see trees along the corridor, planters, art, just whatever that will be appeasing to have the vibrance that we want to project to be the next premier destination to dine, shop, and play. And so that's it. I had to do a little quick overview. You can connect with us. We are on Facebook and Instagram, Old National District. You can go ahead and log on and follow us. My information is right there. I'm the Main Street manager. I'm located on Roosevelt Highway. My contact number, if you would like to reimagine Old National with us, please contact me. We welcome your feedback. Thank you.
Okay, and so we thank you, Teresa, for that great presentation. Not too bad for 3 months on the team, huh? She's done a lot of work, so we're really excited to have her on board. So next we're going to hear from our Red Oak district manager, who is Miss Caitlin King, and she is going to talk to you a little bit about what she has going on, and then after she's done, we will answer any questions that you have.
It's too fancy. We're bureaucrats. All right. Hi, everybody. As Chris said, my name is Caitlin King, and I'm the Red Oak Main Street manager. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Red Oak district. Things move a little bit slower in the Red Oak district than they do over on Old National. And I've been instructed to give you a type 5, so I'm going to be very brief for you. Oh, no. Yeah, I got it this time. Cool. So for those of you who are in the know, Red Oak is on Roosevelt Highway. We're doing something a little bit different in the Red Oak district in terms of how we are delineating our our downtown. So we have our commercial district, which is, traditionally how a Main Street program works. We have 2 historic plazas there that we're going to be working to revitalize and renovate, and then also some other storefronts along Roosevelt Highway that need some TLC. But what I have noticed is that the residential area around the district definitely doesn't match the commercial. What we're seeing are some great historic homes, ranging from the 1920s to 1940s, all the way up to the split levels. Something I hadn't even thought about when I started this position was a historic designation is anything 1971 and older. So something that you might see as like, oh, a renovation project is actually a historic element. And in 50 years, we might be thinking very differently about those homes. So we want to give that neighborhood almost like the vibe of what you would potentially see in like Grant Park or Eastlake, where we're really helping celebrate the community, getting people being excited about being in Red Oak. It's a smaller footprint, much smaller than Old National. It runs from basically like Washington Road to Welcome All. And then we've also incorporated some of this development because we have an exciting new project over there on Yates Road called the Courtney, which is going to be a 55 and up stylish farmhouse living community that's coming in. But that's just like a brief overview geographically speaking. So like Teresa was talking about in her presentation, branding and promotion are a really important part of our storytelling, those things that we use to get people hyped about the neighborhood, excited to be able to like don a Red Oak baseball hat, to be able to say they're from that neighborhood. So we worked with a graphic designer to come up with this logo. Something that's really important about this area is that it dates back, the first post office dates back to 1849. The community that exists there has existed before those dates, going all the way back to obviously indigenous peoples. So we're working on a historical booklet to help give the folks that live in that neighborhood a brief and complete understanding of the significance of Red Oak in the history of not only Metro Atlanta, but in Georgia as a whole. So the community that's there, a lot of those residents have lived there since the 80s. They're trending towards older. So what we're looking for in these new developers that are coming in, obviously density, because we want to attract more businesses. We have a lot of single family homes. We have a new townhome development that's coming in. We have an apartment complex that is in need of some revitalization that we have a lot of people very interested in procuring and overhauling. So there's a lot of room to grow, revitalize, and take existing structures that we have and really bring them into 2021 while maintaining that integrity of the neighborhood. As a Main Street program, we have a lot of goals. We spoke to them earlier on Old National, but like I said, branding for the district, really focusing on that storytelling, history, giving people real buy-in to their community so that they're excited to be in that neighborhood. And then events and programming. That's a huge part of what we do. It's definitely not everything, but creating these positive experiences can really just create like momentum. So about 3 months ago, we did our first Red Oak Art Festival, and that was a very impactful experience. We partnered with a historic church located on Roosevelt Highway, had about 35 vendors sign up, about 500 residents come out and support the event. And for our first event, very proud of that. But the most important thing that came out of that was having these folks be able to say, wow, there's an event here on the South Side that reflects my interests and helps bring my community together. So we're just really proud of being able to do those kind of things. So we're gonna keep doing those at least quarterly. We'll have another Red Oak Family Fun Day coming up in April, which will have, you know, great lawn games, food truck vendors, music, but more importantly, it's just a way to have a great event that brings positive feedback on the area. Business advocacy is another huge part of this, right? So as a Main Street program, we're able to offer facade grants to our businesses that come in. We're also able to offer support about how to do business in the city of South Fulton compliantly. I think something that's very rewarding about my position is getting to talk to these business owners who historically have kind of felt a little aimless and not really knowing who to contact. So having someone in this role like me in the Main Street program has been really helpful because they have a direct contact right to the city of South Fulton. Now obviously, like I said, we're looking for mixed use, walkable, and most importantly, thoughtful developments. We don't want to come in and push out the existing residents of the neighborhood. We want to build upon the community that's already there and get to showcase this great cultural asset we already have in the city. We have a historic district. We're starting with this kind of vibrant arts vibe, and then we kind of want to roll with that. And that's my contact info. So I'm always happy to talk more about all the great plans that we have going on in Red Oak. It's been a very busy 6 months. As Chris says, we never let grass grow under our feet in the Department of Economic Development. So if you have any questions, you want to learn more about Red Oak, more about the other developments that are coming through, and more about some of the initiatives that the city is going to be putting in place to help continue moving this revitalization effort, don't hesitate to reach out. And we also are on social media at Red Oak District.
So Caitlin, I grew up in Red Oak, so if you need some 1849 perspective, I can talk afterwards, okay? Hey, Some questions?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I've got the microphone, so I'm going to start first, and then I'll come around and give it to each of you. So everybody. So movie industry. This is like all the talk these days, right? Right. How's that going to impact your part of the city?
So we do a ton of filming in South Fulton already. Because we have so much green space, we are attractive to like those battle scenes that you see in movies and stuff like that. There's a lot of that filming goes on in South Fulton. We actually had one production come and get a permit so they could do blasting sounds and all of that. So that happens a lot in the city of South Fulton because we do have a lot of undeveloped land that can go out there and not interrupt residential areas and stuff like that. But then we also, this isn't in the city of South Fulton, but it's on the border of the city of South Fulton. Who saw the new Coming to America? All right, so that was filmed in the Kingdom, which was actually Rick Ross's house, which is on the edge. That was filmed in the area. So we have homes like that in the area that also get a lot of filming. If you see any of that, like, I don't watch a ton of this, but like Atlanta Housewives and all that, all those people actually live in the city of South Fulton. So all that stuff happens. That
everybody says they don't watch that, but you know that. Okay. Great. Are we going to see more movie stuff, do you think?
Yes. So, economic development nerd again. Georgia is actually the third most filmed place in the country, in the nation, in the world, actually. So we actually beat New York and Hollywood as for filming in America. And the only two countries that beat us are Canada and England. So yeah. That incentive that they passed at the state level has really increased filming in the state of Georgia.
Good. Bill, you had a question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have a question about, I guess you can hear me. It seems that you are committed to your land use plan. So my question is, if development is coming in a new area, how do you handle the infrastructure for that? And if there's a redevelopment in a historic area, how do you handle bringing the current infrastructure up to a better standard?
We do have infrastructure issues in South Fulton, but they're not as great as you would think. Fulton County provides all of our sewer. City of Atlanta provides all of our water. And so they recognized really early on that infrastructure was going to be important for the growth. Because remember, until 2017, the city of South Fulton was unincorporated Fulton County. So their planners and all of their folk had been seeing the growth. So remember, in 2000, we were 44,000 people. Now we're 100. So the Fulton County knew that this was coming. And so they put in infrastructure. But we just 2 months ago had a presentation from the Fulton County Sewer, and they have a plan, actually a 20-year plan, where they're going to be putting in more infrastructure. But the other thing, if you remember, I talked about the tax allocation district. That allows us to fund everything under the ground. So water, sewer, fiber, all of that stuff we can pay for through tax increments. So we have the ability to incentivize infrastructure if it's somewhere that is not available when the development comes through.
Questions? So population migration, like people are moving here.
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
They're bringing all kinds of stuff with them too. They need to cut that out. And people getting run over on an old national highway. Is that what I heard? Just dropping all over?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of traffic. And the issue that we have with like Old National and Roosevelt Highway, those are state routes. So we're very limited on what we can do from a city standpoint. But we do work with GDOT and MARTA, are all concerned about pedestrian safety on Old National. So we are working on that.
So with the population migration, and a lot of this is COVID related and it's changed how people think about where they live, what do you see coming your way? Like, when you look at the next 3 years, what's that look like to you?
So at this point, we don't have any large mixed-use developments in the city of South Fulton. So we have a lot of mixed-use developments in the pipeline. Some of them are as large as the 1,000 acres that we're doing for Town Center, and some of them are like 40, 30 acres. But that's what we're going to start seeing more of is mixed-use development. When I came to the city of South Fulton, I know as residential real estate folks that sell commercial residential real estate, you don't want to hear this, but I told them, I said, we got to stop building cul-de-sacs. We got to build some other stuff other than cul-de-sacs here. So
hush your mouth. Hold on one second. turn some brain power on you. Quinn, what you got?
All right.
So question for you on just logistics. So there's a big focus on the bottleneck with shipping and getting goods and services to consumers. Can you talk about just the impact of third-party logistics, warehouse development, and why that's focused in South Fulton, and what other industries outside of warehousing and logistics are probably top of mind for economic development?
Sure. So we don't necessarily have a logistics issue in South Fulton, and I don't say that flippantly. So we have an intermodal rail in Fairburn. So everything comes from Savannah, it gets shipped to Fairburn, and it gets dispersed on trucks and trains from Fairburn. So we have that, one of the largest in the state, actually. We have, where we sit in the city of South Fulton, we have I-20, we have 285, we have 85. So we are connected in the infrastructure of the transportation. And we sit in between two airports. We're at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport, but a lot of people don't realize that we're also at Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown, Fulton County is getting ready to change the name to that airport to Executive Airport, and they're getting ready to do like a $200 million expansion of that airport. Because the reality is, CEOs of these companies aren't flying into Hartsfield. They're flying their jet, like Mike, they're flying their jets.
I keep my jet over at Charlie Brown.
They're flying their jets into Charlie Brown Airport. So if you think about it, anywhere from CEOs of Coca-Cola, Home Depot, all of those folks have jets out at Charlie Brown, which is also in the city of South Fulton. So,
April.
I think this was all great, and we appreciate all that you've presented so far. So this is a lot to get excited about for the future of City of South Fulton. Can you speak to some of the development that has already been established that are successes in the City of South Fulton that will be of interest to a potential homeowner in the area?
Right. So probably the hottest real estate in the City of South Fulton is in our Sandtown community. We November just celebrated the 1-year anniversary of our Publix development. And you would say, well, it's just a Publix. Well, it was a food desert. People in that area are driving 30 minutes to go to a grocery store. And so it was also a lot of other commercial that came with that. And so that was the only grocery store in development in that area. Since then, the 3 other adjacent corners of it's on Camelton and Camp Creek Parkway. Those vacant property have been sold and bought by developers who are doing mixed-use development. So we're going to have a ton of commercial come on board in the next 18 to 24 months just in that little corridor. But that is also where our highest price points in homes are. That is where our higher wage earners live as well in the city. And so it's an area that's just prime and ripe for future growth. But the growth that we've already had in that area. We are going back to logistics and manufacturing. Also, it's adjacent to the Fulton Industrial Corridor. We can't build enough warehouse space. There's probably the least amount available commercial space on Fulton Industrial and probably anywhere else in the state. I mean, that stuff just gets sucked up because of, again, where we are, the proximity to airports and interstate. So that we see a lot of development. The thing that we've struggled with, and the reason why we do presentations like this, is getting people to understand the need for the quality of life stuff. So we have 100 square miles, 107,000 residents, we have an Applebee's. That's it on Cascade. Everything else is either in East Point or Douglasville or Fayette County. And so, there's a demand there, but it's getting people to understand, okay, the city of South Fulton exists. These are what the realities there. This is the disposable income that's there. And we're starting to see that, but it takes time to take that, people shaking their head like this, like people in this room today, and actually getting something to come out of the ground. That's like a 2-year process. So I think we are moving faster than most communities. The reality is it took Sandy Spring 12 years to build a town center. We'll have ours done within 6 years, 7 years. So some of that has to do with their economic development director, but some of it I'm kidding.
We got time for one more question. Billy, you had one?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Yes, good questions.
Thank you. Because this is so close to the airport, if an investor comes in and wants to do a redevelopment, are there any funds allocated for noise abatement in your plan?
So in our plan, no, we don't. So it's interesting because, you don't think about this until you live in a community that has an airport. There are actually sound maps that we have, and it's just like any kind of heat map that you would see. And of course, red is the most intense sound, and then it goes out to yellow, and it goes out to another color. And we are pretty much outside of that, our city. So if you think about it, the airport is actually in the city of College Park, and we are on the west side of College Park. So the airport's in East College Park. You got the city of College Park. Now, the city of South College Park has a ton of issues with that. I actually live under the airport, or in my house, so we have a lot of abatements that go on with sound. And then the city of South Fulton. So we're by the time the planes get over city of South Fulton, they're high enough in the air where it's not an issue with sound. But 6 West is the 300-acre development that College Park is doing. Is under the airport, and they're doing a lot of sound abatement with that development.
Hey, Teresa, Caitlin, Chris, thank you so much. You guys came a long way. Yes, absolutely. We sure do appreciate y'all. You went a long way today to be here with us. My gosh. Hey, folks, we're not have a meeting next week because it's the day before Thanksgiving. I don't think you're going to show up. If I'm wrong about that, come tell me. I'll be glad to schedule one. Don't forget, if you haven't marked it down, Wednesday, December the 8th, we're going to have a Century 21 International President. That's a big deal. Like, he doesn't do that. We got 8,000 offices all over the world. Can you imagine? All 8,000 of them want him to come see them. He's going to come talk to us about residential real estate and what he sees coming at us in the next 5 years. So please mark your calendars to be here for that. Okay. Thank you. A lot of you drove a long way just like they did today. We appreciate you. Let's go to work. Okay. Ready?